Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Travis Sherman here with another exciting tutorial. Is it another though? It's the first one. It's the first tutorial of many. Whether you just bought Adobe Premiere Pro or if you've had it for years, this tutorial is going to guide you through the process of setting up your Premiere Pro for efficiency and organization. That's right, efficiency and organization, because that's what I believe makes a great editor. It's almost like there's going to be a question about that or something. Now, for those of you who are accustomed to my great sense of humor and my great hair and are wondering, hey, where's the joke? Well, I was going to tell you a joke about time travel, but you guys didn't get it. I'm imagining all of you guys laughing right now. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. Let's switch to this screen over here. All right, there we go. So I'm going to take you through the basic process of opening and all that stuff. So let's just pretend you're brand new to the game. So you've installed a Premiere Pro into your computer. Where's it going to be? Well, if you go into your hard drive over here and to Applications, you'll see a folder that says Adobe Premiere Pro. And there it is, Adobe Premiere Pro. So you could essentially go in here every single time, click on it, it opens up, or you can drag it, which I've already done, so I'm not going to do a whole lot of, you can drag it down to here and put it in your dock. This is a great shortcut key for you guys, so that's what I would encourage every single time, just going down to your dock right here and opening up like we just did. So we're going to open this up. The first time you open it up, for whatever reason, it takes a little bit. This is a little faster. So in the meantime, should we put the music back on? I mean, I enjoyed the music. Almost feels like we're back outside. All right, here we go. So we've opened up the project, or I'm sorry, we've opened up Premiere Pro and we're on the home screen, and this is what you're going to see every single time. The very first thing you're going to do, or notice, I'm sorry, is this will be where all your projects are located. I tried to delete all the ones I had. I forgot to do this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. First is we're going to click on New Project. And it's going to open up this screen for New Project. Right here is where you can name your project. So we're just going to name this Editing 101. Location, that's very important. We're going to click on Browse, and this will enable you to save the project wherever you want. Remember, our goal is efficiency and organization. So we're going to click on the left-hand side right here, Desktop, and I've already got a folder here called The Edge, which is full of clips and things. This is what I would recommend you guys doing for efficiency and organization. I would recommend loading all of your files into one folder. That way you know exactly where they are. So I'm going to double click on the Edge, and you'll see all the clips in here, and I'm just going to click Choose. So now I know for a fact everything related to this project is in this folder. All right, the scratch disks, I've got them currently saved the same as the project, so everything's going to be saved in there. What is a scratch disk? This is like your render files, previews, autosave projects. This will all be saved into that folder. I would recommend doing that as well. We'll go back to General. All right, here's where we're going to have some controversy. If you've got a really fast computer, you can go ahead and set your Mercury Playback Engine GPU acceleration. You can do that, certainly. I, on the other hand, as well as many schools, do not have that option, so what you're going to want to do is the Mercury Playback Engine software only. That is very important. Make sure you choose that. If, like I said, if you've got a very, very fast computer, you can probably select the other ones. What's the difference? Well, if you select this one, the metal, you're probably not going to have to render. Your computer's fast enough where you won't have to render. If you select this one, you will be rendering throughout your project. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. We'll go over it. I would leave everything else the same. It may say DV on your capture format. Everything we do nowadays is HDV, so I would select that. Very, very few times will you ever have to select DV, so I would just leave it at that, and we're going to click OK. And here you go. It may look really complicated right now, but don't worry, it's not. Now, up here are your different workspaces. You've got learning, assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics, libraries. I am going to show you the most efficient way for us. You may have a completely different way. You may see things that I delete and you're like, hey, I actually use that. That's fine. But for us, for our purposes, we're going to simplify everything for organization and efficiency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and you'll see this first tab is called the Source tab. And if you click it, you can actually drag it and move it around. You'll see different areas highlighted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to where it's highlighted right here, and I'm going to let it go. The next thing I'm going to do is our effect controls. Again, effect controls, you can move around by just simply dragging. You can put it in different places. I am personally going to leave it right where it's at. Audio clip mixer. We don't really use that, so we're going to click these three lines right here, and we're going to click Close Panel. Metadata, if you don't know what metadata is, this is the data associated with what you shot. So for instance, you may put a clip in there and it will say shot on a 70-200 2.8 L series lens, a Canon 5D Mark III at 5.6. We don't really need that. I mean, once it's in your editing software, you don't really need it anymore. So again, we're going to click the 3 lines and close panel. All right, so we've got this top row, effect controls, source, and program. Everything looks good. Let's move to the bottom. So on the bottom, you have what's called your project window. That's very, very important to us. I would say that's probably one of the most important things. So we're going to click and drag that up right on top of effect controls, and you'll see it moves it over. Media browser, okay, this is where we're probably going to get into some conflicts. Some of you are going to say, yes, I want the media browser, it helps me. I, on the other hand, say organization and efficiency. The fewer tabs you have opened, the more helpful it's going to be. So I am going to close this panel. Libraries, we're not going to use it. We're going to close that panel. Info, we're not going to use it. We're going to close that panel. Effects, we will get into this in the later tutorials. So I'm going to click and drag that up right on top of right there. Markers, not going to really use that. I'm not sure why that's there because the markers display in the timeline. Again, we'll go over that later, so we'll close that. History, we'll close that panel as well. So now what we have is a very highly organized workspace. Okay, so we have 3 tabs right here in this window. We've got a source window, we've got a program window, and we've got a timeline window. Now, you can, if you hover over between the panels, you can kind of resize these if you want to do that. So I try to make my source and program about the same size. So I drag it until it's somewhere around there. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so the next step is we're going to go to Window. We're going to go to Workspaces, and we're going to save this as a new workspace. And I just like to call this Default. So you can label that Default. Click OK. And right here, it pops up. So the great thing about this is you can switch between workspaces. You can always come back to your default editing space. If for some reason, let's say you did something crazy. You put this down here. You've resized this. You've put this over here. I don't know. If you double click on it, it says that it will revert back to its saved layout. If you click yes, it fixes itself. So that's a really nice function. All right, so we've saved our workspace. I want to go over the 3 basic windows. So we've got our project window right here. If you click on this tab, it's your project window. So what a project window is, this is where everything is going to appear. This is where all your clips are, where all your music is, your sound effects, your sequences. Everything can be found right here. Next tab is your effects. Now, you can kind of move these around between effect controls and effects if you want to. So we can put effects right there. Your effects, there's a bunch of different presets in here that you can search through. Video transitions, audio effects to help you clean up your audio, video effects, which we don't really use a whole lot. But this is where your effects are going to be located at. Your effect controls panel, that is where you can manipulate your audio or video. So if you've got a video clip that you want to move around, you want to scale down, if you've put an effect on a video clip, you would find the effect controls in here. You can affect audio, turn it down, turn it up. So this is where you can adjust everything. So we call this window the project window. Very important that we know the 4 different windows. This is your project window. This is where everything is going to be located. Very, very important. Project window. Your next window, we can tell we're selected this window because we've got a blue highlight around it. Your next window is called your source window. So when we start editing, if you double click on a clip, it should pop up in your source window. Essentially what this does is it allows you to preview before you edit. So it allows you to preview what you want to see. Okay, so source window. Program window is our next one. The program window is what's going to be in your final project. If it shows up in your program window, it's going to be in the final project. Whether you see a flash frame, whether there's like a glitch, if you just think to yourself, oh no, it won't be in the final video, if it shows up in the program window, it's going to be there. So make sure whatever you see here, that is your final video. The last window we see is your timeline window. We'll go over more in depth what the timeline window does later tutorials, but the timeline essentially is where you make all of your different edits. You put all your clips in there, you create sequences, you can create multiple sequences, but this is where all editing takes place. So you've got 4 windows: project, source, program, and timeline. All right, so let's go over what exactly Premiere Pro is. So there's basically 2 different types of editing systems. They're called linear or non-linear. A linear editing system means you have to edit in order. I actually don't know if there's any of these still around. Basically, this is back when broadcasting was just becoming a thing. They would use linear editing, so they would actually record onto a tape, and then they would have to go back and edit in order on the tape. It was very painstaking. I did it like one time. It's very, very challenging. This is called a non-linear editing system. So you don't have to go in order. You can put clips wherever you want. You can search for clips. It allows more freedom. So a non-linear editing system. This is also what we call a reference file program. File reference program, sorry. So this is a file reference program. This is very, very important, especially when people are just starting out and they really don't understand what they're doing. This is so important. So let me show you what this does. I'm going to import, let's say, this very first clip right here. We've imported it. Okay, it's in my project window right here. Okay, we've imported a clip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here and I'm actually going to create a new folder. I'm just going to call this test. And I'm going to move that clip I just imported. Maybe. There we go. Okay, I've moved it. Everybody seen that? So I've moved it to a different file. I've essentially moved the clip to where the Adobe Premiere Pro should not be able to recognize it anymore. And there we go. We get this error message. So that's very, very important, especially when you're starting out. So what happened is you told the program that this clip is located in this folder at this location. When I move that file to a different folder, the software can no longer find it. So it's saying, where is this clip located at? Okay, so that's very important. We have this happen all the time where students come in and they've shot all this footage. They've got lower thirds and voiceovers done and all this stuff. And then, for whatever reason, they're like, oh, I'm going to clean up my desktop today and I'm going to move all this stuff to a new folder. Well, if you've already started editing, the software is referencing that folder. So if you move it, you're no longer going to be able to edit. It's going to ask you, where is this now located? You can go back and relink the files if you wanted to. It takes a little bit of time. But I would encourage you, once you start editing and you've imported footage, do not move the files. They should stay right there. Everything should be in this folder titled The Edge. That's the title of the project. So make sure that you guys are not moving files because it's a file reference program. I'm imagining all of you guys nodding your head in agreement. All right, we're going to learn a couple of shortcut keys, and then that's going to wrap it up for this one. So our very first shortcut key that we're going to learn is Command S. If you hit Command S, that is your shortcut key to save. You should do this roughly every 10 minutes, I would encourage. It doesn't take that much effort, just Command S, boom, it's done. It takes a few seconds. By default, Adobe Premiere Pro auto-saves every 30 minutes. That's a great benefit. You can change this. You can go into your sequences, or I'm sorry, you can go into your project settings and you can change it to every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes. The problem is it kind of bogs down your computer. It makes it a little bit slower, so I wouldn't encourage that. Maybe every 15 minutes or 20 minutes you could do, but every 30 minutes is fine unless you just do Command S. It's just overwriting your file, so it doesn't take any memory. So I would encourage you to do that. Command S is your very first shortcut key. That is to save, Command S. The next shortcut key is Command Q. Command Q quits the program. So every time you're about to, or you're finished for the day or whatever, you're gonna hit Command S, Command Q, that's gonna save and quit your project. And believe it or not, guys, that wraps up the first of several editing tutorials. Our next one is gonna be over the basics of editing, shortcut keys, as well as a few more advanced techniques, so make sure you guys tune in. That does it for me. I'm Travis Sherman, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.